dating app. He finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being...
Hey!
We'll start, roll call.
Hanson,
Here,
Hanson.
finally.
Here.
Baird,
Here.
Soda. Nope.
And Dave won't be here.
Yeah, and then Ryder.
Didn't hear anything from Josh.
No, he's not gonna be here.
Alright.
We're good.
Alright. Give you a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting of April.
Motion to approve as is.
And a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion items. First one, Girl Scout tree planting project update. Right, you
Yep,
have that?
yep. So Adam passed out beforehand what they had sent us for that. Also, that happened today. I was up there and I provided you a few pictures here of what was going on and what was going to be placed at the base of the tree. So we did discuss. I discussed with Stewart's the type of tree, and then we discussed the placement of the monument, if you will. We wanted to keep that flat to the ground rather than
Upright.
upright. It's easier to maintain, and we can mow over it, things like that. And they were good with that. So rather big crowd. So everything looks great. And we have another tree in the spot that
Needed a tree.
Needed a tree.
And with all the older trees we have in the city, it's kind of good to
Yep.
get some new plantings in there.
So everything went well. Girl Scouts did a great job,
All
and
right.
everybody else.
Anything from anybody else on that?
Just a thank you to the Girl Scouts,
Yeah.
and doing a wonderful project.
Mrs. Retzloff does a good job with those
Yep.
girls.
Yeah.
All right, Horner Park design update. I'm sure everybody's got a chance to drive by there and look.
Yep, got a couple things on that. Last time we talked about changing the rocks out, and so John and I emailed a little bit back and forth, and he was gonna work with R&R. For that, I haven't seen anything for that yet. So in the meantime,
Must have been a system kicking in.
yeah, it was.
Okay. It sounded like somebody shaking on the door.
Yeah. We'll keep the rocks that we currently have there for that.
Intel.
Right. We did cut that pavement out and create that walkway or path through there and seeded it, so we're waiting for the grass to grow. Hopefully we get a little rain to help that along. So I think it looks pretty good. We had to move the stones closer together as somebody decided to skirt their way around them and drive across the bridge. I noticed a tire mark the other day, so we made that adjustment
Takes all
yesterday. So the sidewalk was also taken out, that angle down there, so now we got a great canvas, blank canvas to work with for improvement into that park. We also did some more weed eating and things down along the creek line, and then I would expect in the next week or two for us to get the swing frame by the other swing by the dam there painted and hung up as that grass is kind of starting to grow there. So it seems to be, from what I hear, pretty popular from one alderman.
There's a lot of people
It seems he's
Down.
allegedly upset, which he's not, because it's bringing a lot of people in and getting a lot of use. He's not upset at all. He's joking with me on that, so it's starting to get to be more utilized.
Every night when I drive home there's people on the swing fishing or standing over by it, you know?
Yep.
and So it's a good spot for that. All right. Disc golf course upgrade. We were notified that Kiwanis is going to be donating money for what we put in for improvements. So I gave that to Dave to kind of run with, because he, I guess, joined the club there and that. So, but basically, they are giving more money than what we had originally put in for. So we can do a few extra things with that. So we want to thank them right now, and that's something that we'll get together with them and get that project going this fall. But it does get used a lot. It's being the only disc golf course in town. There's people up there all the time. Sandy shaking, yeah. What's nice about that course versus a lot of the others around the area is it's very friendly for beginners, compared to like Zobel or Riggs and that, which are really long. So definitely was a great gift years ago, and the people that sponsored the holes was nice there. So it's only practical to improve it and keep it going. Any questions on that? Murray Park quads cement work, that was done. Looked very nice yesterday when I saw it.
Yep, so I think Adam and I and you were discussing that area at one point in interim here, and we made the decision to fix the issue there. Well, what came about with fixing the issue with it was not just replacing a couple pieces, was basically to make it ADA compliant. It couldn't be, I believe, more than
The pitch,
2%. So
grade.
we had to redo the whole thing
Mhm.
at a cost of over $4,000. So it wasn't in budget.
Right.
What I'm asking is if you guys would consider taking money out of Friends of the Park and pulling that into the budget to cover some of that cost. I don't believe there's enough there. I don't even know how much is there.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, do you know what's in the account?
I know.
If you can check into that.
I'll check it.
I mean, the money's there to do things in the park.
If
so.
that qualifies, I wasn't sure if that did.
Well, to be honest, it was a safety concern prior, so
It's been that
you
way
would
for a
think,
while.
yeah, so to me, it would be something that should fall into that, you know? You know, and then I know, goal is eventually to get
The vision
the
there.
rest up to the cement from the,
As we talked
bleacher
yesterday,
areas,
my
yeah.
vision would be to how we can incorporate the paths that are currently leading to that into that area
Yeah.
that would be ADA compliant.
yeah.
So that folks can get around where they need to get around. If that's ADA, it doesn't do you any good if you
Can't get all the way.
Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Can we get a grant?
not that I know of. It might be something we do, figure out and do one piece a year
Yeah.
or something like that. We can take a look at that.
Check into, would you continue asphalting that up to there, or would you
I
consider
would rather
cementing
see
it?
cement.
Yeah. It'd last a lot longer. I know, because
Yeah.
coming in from the
Depends on
outfield fence
our,
areas is asphalt.
depends
so,
on our vision of that
Yeah.
area or pavilion,
Mhm.
but
Cement would be,
we'll have to look.
Might be ideal, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
gonna last a little longer. But yeah, it looks very nice,
Yep.
so. Softball diamond improvements for softball number 6. Turn around, and the high school would like to do an improvement.
You want this?
I know it. You can pass it around. They want to improve diamond 6. We had a company come in and do a soil sample and check everything out. What they want to do is come in and add a little more clay to the soil, because in the spring right away, all the water and snow melt comes down the hill and makes that infield very unplayable because it's very soft. They want to bring in some extra fill to raise it up a bit, redo the, resod the edging for the outfield to the infield edging there, reset the bases with new anchors, new home plate, and do all that. And this will be about a $21,000 project that they want to contribute to the parks, because early in the season, the softball teams utilize that, and it's a way for them to give back. So,
And that is our only lighted field down there.
correct.
Correct.
So
Yeah. So with that, I would like to make a motion that we accept that offer from the Ripon School System for the improvement as laid out. Is there a second?
Sure, I'll second. There's always,
Motion's
We'll
made
take
and
turns,
second. Any other questions, discussion on that?
Just a question about maintenance on that
Yeah.
further moving forward, who's, is it?
That's the
city
city's.
responsibility then?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like scoreboards and that stuff, they're
Okay.
gifts to the city
Sure.
to improve. But it will make a huge, huge difference. As someone that works on the field early in the spring and that, it'll prevent that sinking down 2 inches right away when you try walking on it till it dries out. And they'd like to get going on this the end of July, first week of August, so it's done early enough. They got some open time slots. It's just a matter of, comes down to us approving it and giving them the go-ahead.
Sure, good with me, call the vote.
So, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
We want that taken to the council?
I think we should. I mean, because it is a major improvement in the park.
I will just put it on the next Monday night's agenda.
Perfect. Baseball diamond maintenance agreement. Adam, I'll give that to you, seeing you've taken the lead on that.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Adam drafted this up.
Yep, so I drafted an agreement after last meeting. We also did meet with members of the Ripon Diamond Booster Club and the Ripon Youth Baseball and Softball yesterday up at Murray Park to discuss, this agreement. This is just a draft, but it basically, the intention of this is to put on, paper what the expectations are of everybody. There's no fee in here, we're not trying to change anything, we're trying to kind of codify what the understanding, has been, should be, is. So this is sort of the beginning template of what we hope to come to an agreement with. Some of it is just generic type language, some of it is a little bit more specific, but it lays out, kind of the ownership. Yep, the city owns it. We are giving you the opportunity to use it and alter it at our with our
Discretion.
permission. You are responsible for certain items of maintenance. The city is responsible for certain items in maintenance. You will get priority of scheduling activities if you get it to us before a certain date over other groups by entering this. And trying to kind of keep everybody accountable in getting things repaired or fixed, and then working together. Really, at the end of the day, once that kind of is all hammered out, working together for joint improvements and doing bigger things once kind of these littler things get out of the way and are in here. We can start now, instead of talking about weeds, let's talk about dugouts or fencing. Or lighting or fields, whatever.
Yep.
On top of then generally putting in some terms about responsibility, liability concerns, which are, there's nothing out there in any agreement or anything like that currently with these groups. So I think that's, from the city's perspective, important. There's no fee, obviously, we didn't put a fee in it. The term of the agreement being, 3 years, and then, it renews unless something needs to be addressed, so we wanna kinda keep this as a refresh as needed. And then basically kinda some other just legal type stuff. And so we met with them yesterday, they expressed some other additional concerns with some of the ball diamonds. My comment to them is the city's not afraid of doing more to help out up there at all. Mike and Howard were there as well. There are some more concerns, and Mike has already addressed some of them in the last 24
I'll
hours.
talk about that in the staff
Yeah.
reports.
So we left it sort of with a, here you go, look it over, see what appetite there is on your end with your club and groups to enter this agreement. There was concern about other groups using it as well and not being, held to a similar agreement. And my comments were basically, we will approach other groups too and talk about this same issue. Doesn't mean we have to get in an agreement with every single one of them, but at the same time, the current situation of saying, well, they're not doing this and we have to do this, and so we're not gonna do it, or this or that, or the city do this, is not productive. So to start off, if we can kind of work with one group and set the standard for what it is moving forward with the other groups that do use the facilities, I think because of the unique nature of both of these, using primarily Murray Park and Barlow, and really Murray Park being, the quads being dedicated specifically to, primarily youth activities with their group, that this was the place to start. So we're obviously open to suggestions. At the end of the day, they have to agree to something too. So, but a lot of this is trying to, like I said, put in place what I think are already some of the existing expectations on paper. So,
And it also turns around, and because they have a changeover in boards, people on boards and that, this kind of gives a guideline for the new incoming people from year to year and that, instead of, well, they didn't tell me and I don't know, and it's here.
and that is what's incredibly important, and that is why other communities do this. I will be the first to admit, I did not sit here and just write this. I used an example from other communities.
Why reinvent the wheel?
And so, I'm just being honest, but, this is not something that is foreign or uncommon. Because these issues arise, and the city, I will be the first to admit, looking at the fields yesterday up there, some of the issues that Mike will address, we can do more, and we need to do more. But at the same time too, we have to have an agreement in place that sets that expectation, as well as for us, as well as for the ones that are using it at zero cost to them. So, I think it's a good start. I think the meeting was productive to the point where they were going to go back and talk about it, and if they want to ask for additional things, we will come back. And my hope is by the end of summer that we have something in place, or at least agreed to, so that moving forward into the next 3-4 years, we aren't arguing about weeds, and we're talking about doing
Improvements.
doing bigger things. Yep. So that is the goal in all of this. And, I'd be happy if anybody has any suggestions. You can email them to me, you can tell me them right now, whatever. But I think it's at least a start.
Yeah.
And more than what we have now, which is...
This is the first agreement of this type ever in the history of that organization? In youth baseball? Or all? Everything else?
No, there used to be years ago when they were
this
Little
should've
League,
been like 30
when it
years
was
ago.
Little League affiliated.
This should have been no.
This should have been, an agreement like this should have been done a
Yeah.
long time ago.
We
Yeah.
had, when Jim Seidel was our city rec director and all that stuff, back when we were Little League affiliated, there was a written agreement in that. And then we followed those guidelines until the groups decided they didn't want to be Little League affiliated
Okay.
anymore, and then
Okay,
they became
Sure.
individuals.
this is a good starting point.
Yes.
That's- Yeah. Lays it all out, so.
I tried to be fair and not make it more than 4 pages.
Simpler is better.
Here we got a blank one.
I know, I'm sorry. I must have-
That's to write your own
Yeah,
notes on.
yeah, right. But,
Made it
look, you know,
smaller.
really, at this point, the ball is in, you know, they have the agreement, the ball is in their court to look it over. And we hope, like I said to them, they asked the timeline, I said, you know, by the end of summer, I would hope that we have come to some sort of understanding, and certainly also then, you know, setting the expectation that anybody else using the fields, we want to talk to them as well. So, I think it's only fair, but everybody has kind of got to step to the plate here and play ball, you know, so.
Yeah, the big thing they wanted to do was take it back and show it to their board members and go over it and then get back to Adams. So,
Understandable, yeah.
good idea there, so.
Good job.
All right.
We'll see, it's not done yet.
It's definitely a step. in
It's
the
a
right
step,
direction,
yep.
For sure.
ARPA funds.
So piggybacking off of that a little bit,
Yep.
I'll just share this with you all. From the perspective of Parks and Rec
Same one you got to-
and everything, some of you may
Yeah.
have seen this stuff already. But we will be receiving rescue plan funds, and I going through it with staff, and we presented some of this preliminarily to the Common Council. We put some items on here that, you know, are park related, so I wanted you to review those, and if there's any other suggestions or things that you would like to see, we can try to prioritize. At the end of the day, you know, how we handle the distribution of these funds, we may be back to this committee to make a recommendation to the council to just, you know, to try to push some things forward. Some of these senior center building project on here, obviously, the reason that's on there is because it's going to be in Murray Park somewhere, and we may have to use funds for that. The rest of them, like Murray Park dugouts, trail connections, Selfridge Park Lake Trail, Murray Park basketball court rehabilitation, things like that. Those are all brought by city staff as possible projects. There's been no funding allocated, but one of the motivations in talking to this group too is during the meeting with the talking about the agreement. One of the other things we discussed was, say, Murray Park dugouts. Okay, if the city were to work with the youth baseball and softball or the booster club to, say, put $40,000-$50,000 aside to start addressing some of the, you know, the needs and issues up there, like dugouts and, you know, coverings over the bleachers to actually have shade, to improve that facility and do some larger capital projects that, you know, the goal here is to say, here's X amount of dollars, can you go fundraise to then get to a bigger project? So, so I think that's, you know, so Murray Park dugouts have been kind of the big one, because I think it's one of the easier ones to have matching funds toward, so we're maximizing the ARPA dollars against private or fundraised dollars. So the goal would be to, you know, at some point request to the Common Council specifically that, you know, this amount of money set aside with the intention of the other groups fundraising to help fund the improvements. Because we could do a $100,000 project theoretically if you give them a couple years to fundraise and get things done. And that is much needed up there. So that's kind of the strategy. There are other kind of cool things there. We'd love to do more parks and trails and things like that. Obviously, this is only a small part of the list and totals a lot of money, even just for, you know, and we could spend a lot more in parks, no doubt about it. So if there's any other suggestions, that was kind of the small list. But we would like to, in my mind, and talking to Mike, and talking to just people in general, I think the parks at some point in these meetings, we will come with official kind of like, let's request it from the council, because we need to use some of this money to get out into the parks and improve them, whether it be, like I just said, the Murray Park dugouts or, trail connections, any of that stuff. So, all stuff that would be great for the community and very visible. So it's just something to kind of just digest and look at. But really, what my whole selling point with the agreements is, we get this settled, then let's start talking about this. Let's start working on a bigger project where, instead of the city trying to
Nickel and dime
things and try to come up with 10 grand to fix something halfway, let's take some of that money and then, use it as leverage against donated funds to do a bigger thing. And I think there was
It seemed like there was willingness from
and
them.
interest to do that, because I think everybody sees the need for that facility, so be happy to answer any. So it's $430,000 estimated? Okay, there's like $2 million worth of lists.
Yeah, should see some.
So, I mean, not everything's going to be funded, but, and we will weed through it, but we need to start, kind of chipping away and doing some of these littler allocations. So, we may bring it back and hopefully have some better idea.
And the parks do need a lot of help, and it's nobody's fault, it's just that there's never been any money to do anything. And of course, as you know, those are the type of things that are the first to be put aside, because there's other major projects that city money needs to go with. So this was kind of a nice little windfall at a good time for us all. So, does anybody have any other questions for Adam on this? Okay.
Is it an okay idea to pursue at least?
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Okay. Don't want to go totally rogue and
No,
start
no. Well, like I say,
allocating.
Who made the estimates?
Uh,
Just,
there's some logic there. No, there is. Yeah, I did. So based on,
Yeah,
I was just wondering why
we kind of looked at
courts are.
some of that one,
they're expensive.
those are not cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like redoing them totally.
Those can be refurbished that are there, yeah.
And it still
Do-
costs that?
Oh,
How
yeah.
much are they
Oh,
new?
yeah. A new one is $250,000,
Yeah.
so.
you're
On the
talking
light
about
side.
I believe,
and then
I believe
fencing and, to even repaint,
Mhm.
just to repaint it, depending on the size, is gonna be $30,000, I guess, if that,
at
not more.
least. I had
Yeah.
that on my initial matrix that I had, I moved that off. But it's
Well, when we redid,
overwhelming the cost.
we redid the four at Barlow years ago, when we went through and sealed them and painted them and all that stuff, and it was like $35,000 to do that, and that was quite a few years ago.
You won't see that pricing.
No, no, not at all. So,
And there are companies out there that do
Yep.
different resurfacing things,
Yep.
and I hope it's not to the point where you have to completely reconstruct it, because then, yes, it does get very, very expensive, but there's new technology, there's crazy
stuff coming out all the time.
There's-
Yep.
yeah.
So,
So yes, it is very expensive.
all right. Project updates and status report. We'll start with Mike.
Boy, do I have a lot.
He's got a list.
So I think, one of the things that came out of the meeting were, and it was a good meeting, because it brings out, you're able to listen and bring out the issues that they see. Because, honestly, I don't see all the issues out there. I pick up quite a few of them. But one thing, over last weekend, the water heater failed in the quads. So I addressed that today. And Quality Plumbing will get that fixed.
What size tank is that, Mike?
That's a 5 gallon or something like
It's got
that.
to be bigger than 5 gallon, isn't it?
It's really small.
Like about a 20 or something?
Not in that
Not
one.
quite even that big yet?
No.
Hmm.
So he'll get that fixed. With that, we found that Upper Murray has failed also, and Selfridge has failed. So Kent will get those taken care of, which I thought they were taken care of, but not yet. So I talked to him this afternoon and we'll get that done.
What was the other park besides the two at Murray?
Selfridge.
Selfridge and Upper Murray.
Yeah.
So I really want to get those done before the weekend. Some of the other issues that came up were the fencing in the outfield at Barlow Park with holes. I did look at that today, and there's a work order in, and we will address that. We'll do something there. I can't say what, if it's patching or whatever. We got fencing we can put in for now, or we can stretch some of that down. I assume the balls go underneath there, so.
Not too often, but there's always that
There's a
opportunity.
chance.
Yep. So we will get that addressed also. Some concerns that also came out was just the general housekeeping issues from the artificial grass and the sand. So I will, and I wanted to talk to you about this before, so it wasn't a surprise, Howard. We will roll that stuff up and hold that down by us, the artificial grass.
That's at the batting cage?
The stuff outside the batting
Yeah.
cage. Yep.
Yep.
And we'll
That
get
was-
that cleaned up so that, so when you need it, we
Yeah.
have it
Well-
available.
Yeah, and that other roll that's there, yeah.
Yep, okay. And then just the sand that's over by the volleyball courts, we'll
Just
get
level
that,
that off.
we'll get that cleaned up also, so that we have a better representation of the park. I also did notice when I was working, well, I wasn't really working, but
Mike Garrett
I
was
take that
working.
back. Was up looking at the sprinkler system, that the trees behind the dugout are overgrown and hanging down significantly. Again, there's a work order in for that, to have those trimmed up, taken care of, and also to clean that back area up.
Are those trees our trees?
They're
Is
on
that-
our side.
Okay,
We're gonna-
so we can
The
trim that.
branches
That
are
was
on
my-
our side, I'm gonna take care of.
Okay, that was my question, because, some people are protective about their,
That's
Well-
at Barlow or?
up at Barlow.
Okay.
If they
Third
hang
base
over-
dugout behind there?
Yeah, if they hang on our side, we're gonna
We
take
can trim
care
it.
of them.
Okay, that's
Yep.
good.
I received a call today that the concession stand at Barlow was broken into and their concessions were stolen, specifically the candy bars and things. So I do have a sweet tooth, but I didn't do it.
Yeah.
So I do have a work order in to add a hasp on there and to add a lock. So whether it got left open or whether somebody has a key, I don't know.
Or it didn't catch when whoever closed it.
I don't know, but we'll put a lock on there, and the people that need the key will get the key, so that this doesn't happen again.
Put like a deadbolt on there, is that what you're thinking?
Or just a regular padlock.
Oh, a padlock,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
I know sometimes that door on that concession stand up there, they close it, but if you don't push it hard enough, it doesn't always catch.
Yeah,
And
so we don't know what happened there, but we'll put something in place so it doesn't
happen again.
hopefully happen again. Other concern is all the gophers at
Mhm.
Murray Park, and they're widespread, they're all the way up
Yep.
to your place.
Mhm.
So I don't know how to resolve this.
They go and nail them.
And they're amazing,
They
they
do.
really are. I would love to discharge a firearm around there.
They sit in those pine trees just off of the quads as it starts to go up the
So
hill.
I am looking
Yeah.
into that. I think I got a call into a pest control guy to see his thoughts. I think we have some thoughts on. I will never get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
All you can do is control them, so we'll see what we can do for that. I do have some thoughts on that, so we'll take a look at that. Fortified Bank did paint the South Pavilion at Barlow Park. And they gotta get another coat on, I believe, so they did that last Saturday. And just the outside, there was a tournament or a ball game there, so they were unable to do the insides of the bathrooms. I think they're gonna probably tackle that at some point. I got a mess here written down. So I put a lot of stuff down on here, but this, I bring this usually. I did not bring my spreadsheet on repairs stuff. I think I covered some of it. So here's the usage report for the pavilions. I think we're better than we were in 20 already, which we know what happened then. And we're looking better than actually in 19. So people are glad to get out and start to use those for whatever their needs are. I have contracted with a company, Nature Works, I think it was. We will be applying chips to some of they will blow some chips in for fall protection on some of our bigger playground areas. Their price has significantly gone up, so I have to do this piece 1 year and another piece another year. But that will get done this year also. And that's all on that line that I have.
That's it then? That was a lot.
For that line, yes.
Okay. Adam, do you have anything else? Dad under staff?
The only thing would be is there'll be a council workshop on Monday night for the senior center to talk about that project. So that somewhat
Ties in.
ties into at least Murray Park.
That's for
All
the
right.
next line.
Next would be the budget.
So I did run this just today. So we're tracking pretty good. About 37% of the budget. So I am capturing as much cost into this budget, I think, better than we have in the past. So I feel really good about it.
Yeah, considering we're just.
And we are full staff now for summer help. So that helps out a lot. We are getting other things done.
So I'm up at Murray trimming,
Weed
Round trees and all that
pulling
stuff.
All kinds of
Yep.
stuff going on, yep.
Anybody have any questions on this for Mike?
This budget will rise significantly now with the labor
Mhm.
and things in the summer. It's stagnant for the for 3,
Yeah.
4 months.
What is retirement? How come you need a budget?
That's what goes into the retirement account for full-time employees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought
that's-
somebody was retiring. Budget there. Okay,
Everything north of that is all wages and benefits.
right.
Revenue's on the back, I believe.
Mhm.
I don't know if you noticed that. So, 3,500 and change. I think we're up over 4,000 now for June. So we are getting some good revenue in to put back into. I know it's small, but every little bit.
A little bit helps. Okay. Suggestions for the agenda for the next meeting? If you got something, contact Adam or myself.
Hey, I got something right now.
All right, there you go.
Can you
How much
believe it?
cash would you like from that roundup fund?
Yeah, put that on.
Yeah.
And then I would like to bring forward, we've had some contact from folks on bringing park benches in to the parks, okay? Adam and I talked about this, and we would like to standardize, if you will, what is brought in and what vendor is used and things like that. And then, and we would like to have a discussion about that. I can bring the standard in and things like that. I think some things need to be talked about that. And then approval level also in that discussion.
Like
So,
a memorial bench?
yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, if we keep them the same in that,
Mhm.
And we
At least
talked
makes it
about
look
that.
nicer.
It's more consistent.
yep.
If one does fall apart, maybe pieces could be used for another one that is falling apart, things like that. So I think
Yep.
we need to have something like that.
Mhm.
And it's an easy template to give to somebody. Here it is, here's where you go, here's what you do,
Yeah.
bring it forward, and we'll talk about that. The other thing is, I did put in, I want to talk about capital discussion for the parks. And that's where you guys come in. You know, what do we want to do? What do we want to put in for capital? Okay, I've already put in $10,000 for the self-pavilion roof. I'm going to be asking for that at Murray
Murray.
Park. Okay, what else is there when you guys go through that and think about it, okay? I think it's just a discussion point at this point. But where are the needs and
That roof is definitely a need.
And we had talked about bringing the 5-year plan last meeting
Mhm.
to this
Yep.
meeting. We'll get that prepared for the next
Right.
meeting.
Yep. So I want to get that on here.
Adam, when you check Friends of the Park money,
Okay?
also check the Roundup fund at the
Yeah.
same time. That way we have an idea of where both of those are sitting.
Gosh, that's all I had.
Get a nap after all that.
And we're getting close, it's,
Okay. Anybody else have any other suggestions? Otherwise, like I say, contact Adam or myself and we'll go from there. Next meeting, normally we've been every other month, but I think we should probably meet in July again, seeing we have this going on with the agreement and the funds from ARPA
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
that,
it's-
so it's,
it's worth it. We
Yeah.
should be able to get some stuff.
Moving forward, probably for the next 5 or 6 months, we
Yes.
probably need to look at some of these things a
Yep.
little bit more regularly.
I won't be here the week of the 19th, just a FYI.
okay.
Where do you go?
I'm going on vacation.
We would need to the 4th Wednesday, wouldn't we?
28th,
Yeah, the
right.
28th,
Okay.
so.
for July 28th.
Here or at a park?
The weather's nice. Why don't we meet up at Murray? Seeing that's the park we've been talking about, we can meet at the upper
I'm not gonna remember that.
shelter. Usually during
We
May,
remember
June,
that.
July, and August, we try to
Yes,
get out into
last time.
the parks and that, so. Seeing that's the park we've been talking the most about.
Well, that's noted. I will just say if we need to meet here because of technology things,
Right.
we will meet here.
Yep.
So just, yep.
Tentatively.
Yep.
Understood.
And that'll be the upper shelter house, upper pavilion. All right. If there's nothing else, I'll obtain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's made. Is there a second?
Sure, I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned at 5:56.